Meeting March 11th, 2019 to order. Roll call, Mr. Manning.
Mr. Rich? Present. Mr. Venable? Present. Mrs. Gilbert?
Present.
And Mr. Sis?
Present.
Chairman also present.
We have a quorum. We'll have our invocation by Mr. Porter and our pledge by Mr. Venable.
Stand, let's pray together. God our Father, we're blessed to be citizens of this great county and this great country. We are mindful right now of those folks that have been injured or their property's been damaged by the recent storms, the tornadoes, the bad weather. So we just pray that you'll be with them and keep them in your comfort and your care. We pray that you watch over this commission as they make decisions that are important to the county. We pray for wisdom and discernment and compassion and strength. We pray all these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Next, we need to approve the agenda for the meeting March 11th.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Can I get a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Next will be a public hearing for vacation of County Road 458. Mr. Porter.
Thank you, Mr. Guffey. We are, as required by law, we have been requested by Richard Payne and Randall Payne to vacate a road. It's County Road 458. It's 2/10 of a mile, I believe, and it serves only their property. They own the property on both sides of the road. They've asked the county to, it's 150 yards long, and they've asked the county to vacate that road and turn that back over to them, so there's no longer public access into their property. I don't think there's anybody that's been opposed to it. It's been published in the paper as required. So we just need a motion to approve a resolution by the county to do that. One thing that we have done in the past, and I believe the commission would want to do again, is condition the vacating of the road upon Mr. Payne paying all the cost of publication and the cost of preparation of documents.
Right. I'll make that motion with that situation.
Okay. I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. Next be public comments and citizens. We have Judy Print.
She's not got here yet.
Okay.
She asked me to put her name down. She was running a little late, so she should show up before long.
Okay. Do you know if she's going to talk something other than the school or about the school?
I think it's something other than the school.
Okay.
She called a while ago and asked me to sign it in.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll if she comes in by the end of the meeting, we'll let her speak again.
Okay.
We don't have any old business, so right on the new business, we discussed Pay Rock Valley School.
Could I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Can we go ahead and take care of our other business and have this last?
Yes,
I'm sorry, I should have done that when we approved the agenda, but
we can. If you want to, we can go ahead and get this other out of the way. And we'll just move number one to the last.
that allows us
Then.
much time to talk if people will stay and talk and not.
Okay.
Okay, move it to number 11.
Our motion approved Tim Little's temporary employment for 3 months with the Parks Department.
Mr. Chairman, they asked you to speak up a little bit. They're having a little trouble hearing us.
The next one is a motion to approve temporary employment for 3 months with the Parks Department.
When's this gonna begin? 3 months.
It's right away. I think what it is, he's one short.
Okay.
One short now.
Yeah,
Preparing the campgrounds for summer.
yeah.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Number 3 would be a motion to accept the hiring committee's recommendation for the vacant full-time park maintenance position, grade 4, step 1 for the Parks Department.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Next, be a motion to accept the hiring committee's recommendation for the vacant full-time driver collector position, grade 5, step 1 for the sanitation department.
I'll make the motion, or Joshua Brooks.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion to reappoint Chris George to the DeKalb Jackson Water Authority Board. It's a 6-year term.
See the only letter we received,
Yes, he's the only one we got.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Number 6 would be a motion to appoint Chris Clinton Hill to the DeKalb Jackson Water Authority Board. Let me make it a clarification. We only got one for Mr. George's position and then we had one open. So we actually we got 2 letters for, 2 openings.
We got
Yeah.
2 letters and we have 2.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. So on this 6, we only got one, Clinton Hill, on it also, what you're saying?
We had 2 positions and we had 2 people.
2 people,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion to sign a resolution 19-3 and project agreement regarding the HRRR safety project of County Road 77.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion to sign a resolution 19-4 regarding the sales tax.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to table the resolution and continue this meeting until next Monday, March the 18th, please.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Are we continuing the meeting or just moving this to the next agenda?
We're continuing, I'll go along with it, we're continuing the meeting to next Monday night, where we can still vote next Monday night to
Yeah,
do something.
it's tabled for tonight and then continue to next Monday.
Well, let me back up just a minute. I don't want to come up with a resolution and it pertaining to tax, not knowing what it's actually saying in the tax bill. You know, I'd rather go back to discussion right there, so we won't be voting on it. That'll be a work session.
Well, that's what you'll have it to look at before the
That's
next
what I'm saying,
meeting.
next Monday night's a work session. Then we're gonna come back the following meeting.
No,
You've got 3 on your email now,
So,
When did they arrive?
When they
Because I looked at
come.
2 o'clock.
today.
today.
I
They
have
were-
received.
That's what I'm saying, it's gonna give you a week to look at them, study over them.
I just don't want to vote on anything without knowing what's taking place.
Yeah, you've got them on your email, and then you can have copies, first thing in the morning, if you want to come out of the office, pick them up,
Okay.
you need copies. So we got a motion to table it and continue it until next Monday. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Abstain.
I abstain.
Right. We got 2 abstains, 4, that's right. Do I need to vote?
Yes, sir.
I vote yes, table. And, with the stipulation that we, continue it on Monday. Next, be a motion to sign resolution 19-5 vacating County Road 458 that we just had the public, meeting about.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Number 10 is motion to accept hiring committee's recommendation for the vacant full-time mechanic position, grade 7, for the Public Works Department.
I'll make that motion for Travis Carter.
In a second,
I'll second.
all those in favor say aye.
Is
All
there
those
a second?
opposed?
Thank you.
All right. Now we're gonna go back to number 1, discuss paint rock Valley School. The reason we're here tonight, is basically to see if there's enough community support, to keep this building for the community. But I want to make, I don't want us to go back and rehash the closing of the school. We don't have anything to do with the closing of the school. All thing we have been asked to do is to see if there's enough response to create a board So basically what this board would have to do, would be the responsible party. They would have to try to raise money for the maintenance and upkeep, and find, get donations or however, to keep it funded, to keep it going. But right now, as we've been doing this since September, October, and we hadn't received a letter for anybody wanting to be on the board. But we just wanted to come down there today to make sure that, are they enough support to create a board? Do you think there's enough support, people to fund it, to keep it open? So that's kind of where we're at. We just wanted to make sure that you guys, like I said, we don't have anything to do with this closing or opening a school or anything else. We're just here to task to try to help get this board together if the community so sees fit.
Mr. Chairman, you might want to update them on to the county wanting us to take possession of it, that it's currently still property of the county Board of Education.
So I'm sorry, say that
It's
again.
currently the property of the Board of
is,
Education
it
still.
is, it is.
They're just wanting it, and the legal part about them having to sign it over to us instead of an individual, and why it's not going that route. Mr. Porter.
We don't have the funding, number one. We can't take it on because we don't have the funding to, as far as the county. Unless Mr. Porter got something to
Mr.
add.
Chairman, let me speak on it just a minute. Like Chairman said, this was brought to our attention back in October. The thing that has held this up a whole lot, there's no issue in forming a committee. I told Mr. Dukes that night, I said, we can bring this up and form a committee probably in 2 days. But once the committee's formed, what's the next step? I heard no answer. No answer of what the next step was. I know Mr. West he's been looking into this and trying to get some information. I went to Mr. Dukes to see about, I told him I needed a financial statement, basically a printout of what the gas bill, the water bill, the utility bill, and all insurance would be from 16 until the present. Well, I ended up getting 1 page right there. It was when the school was closed down. It didn't matter when the school was closed down. Then we go back, and I go to a meeting over there and talk with Mr. Milton, and he sends me out a packet, and it's got all the schools combined. Well, you can't break it down. I've got some figures that I went to North Alabama and came up with a utility bill. I had to go through and ask them permission, and Mr. Milton got with them Friday. But people, this is not an incorporated town. We don't have any money. My question was that night, can we keep the gymnasium, the ball field, and the library? Absolutely not. I said, this is the only fundraiser that they had right here for the volunteer fire department, and when you come on Mr. Dukes, it was stopped. I said, if somebody's in need of something going on, as far as having a gospel singing or something, this is where it all took place. And you can look here tonight, and you can see, and I've had a lot of phone calls. They didn't want to come because they wanted to remember it like it was. They said, we've done been shafted. There was a word by several of them. And, I'm sitting here listening to y'all. I don't understand, like you said, why it was brought to our attention. The state of Alabama owns the school, from what I gather, And Mr. Porter, if I'm wrong, you correct me, but, here we are trying to form a committee, but what is our next step? Mr. Dukes didn't give me one. Mr. West did come up with a little thing today. He went over and talked to Mr. Middleton. The thing was, if we got it, we can have it for $1. We've got to take care of all maintenance, everything involved. No structural work will be done. We've got to take care of everything that's involved as when it ran before. So.
But you can't go anywhere without knowing how much it's going to cost you
Exactly.
That's
for
exactly
maintenance.
what the committee is supposed to do. Mr. Dukes came to the commission meeting and he asked us to form, am I not right? He asked us to form a committee to make that investigation, to come up with the numbers and all that, and then they're supposed to come back to the commission to submit a proposal to the commission on how it would operate, how they would be able to, and folks, we want to see this in the community. We wouldn't have left it this open this long. Normally we advertise 2 weeks for a board, and normally we get more than what we need for that board, and this has been open since October, and we don't have a single letter, so that we came to the community to, you know, if anybody's interested in being on that board, sitting down, taking those figures, coming up with a plan, and submitting it, that's what we're here for.
Has the original deed been found?
We don't know anything about
Yeah, see,
what we've laid out is all we know. They came to us with this offer. We advertised for a board. Nobody put in for the board. So we came over here to see if we could get 4 or 5 people willing to be on the board to investigate and do the homework and all that. I have no idea about any kind of deed or anything, because that's the school board. We're the county commission, so we don't know anything about that.
Well, my name is Grant Barnum. Most of you know me. I'm talking about Grant Barnum. My father was principal here. He started teaching here in '68. My family moved here in '68, so I have strong ties to the community. I lived on this property until I was 10 years old. Right out here in this teacher's. There was 2 houses and 1 apartment. My dad, on this weekend, believes that the original deed says if it ceases to be a school, it goes back to the Eddie Prince family. He was from Huntsville. He's passed away. He does have daughters. With that in mind, it was his father-in-law that donated the property. And then it was all turned over to him. So if the original deed is not found, if you do sell it or do anything with it, at the time it is found, and if it's found by the family, at that point, they'll take control of it. So that needs to be looked into, because if you sell it or do whatever, that'll be done away with.
Well,
He was here from 1968 to 1993, and during that time, that's what he's been told. And I know these coins that were put out, not necessarily right. Most folks in here remember Enos Fowler. He was in the first class that graduated here. They started in '36, and that graduating class, Linus Petrie, was the last one to pass away, as far as my knowledge, and she passed away in 2016 out of the first graduating class of 1937, when all the schools combined and built this school. But at that time, when the land was donated, it is by popular belief in this community, by the people I've been around talking to so far this past week, that the original deed does state that it goes back to that family. So before much action is taken at any point in time, if that is the case, this happened not long ago in Madison County. Some of you may be aware of that, and the family took the school back over at the point of sale. And that could happen here, and without that happening, that's something that definitely needs to be looked into.
Well, that's, like I say, again, that's the reason we wanted the board. I think it needs to be at least 5 people, but if that board, that's what that board's gonna be tasked with, is to find out, to make sure that there's no, any legal things. They can find out that, they can find out what it costs, monthly to keep it going, for utilities, for liability insurance, for, maintenance and repairs, whatever it takes. But that, that's what the board needs to do, and they come back to us.
And come up with a plan.
Yeah.
I've been looking into that for
pay
6
that.
months, though, 6 months, and I have nothing. From what I can understand, what you're saying, Mr. Chairman, is if we form a board right here, it would be on us to come up with that. I disagree. The school was the ones that knew what functioned right here and what took place.
How else would you want to do it, Mike? If you don't want to form a board, how would you?
You let the Board of Education and Mr. Dukes come up with all the final figures, what it costs to run this thing for propane, for insurance, water, and all.
But
that way we
you want
got
us to
something.
just step away from it and have
It's
somebody from the school
not
board?
been brought to us properly.
Well, I don't have a problem just stepping away from it, if that's what you want.
I can form a board right here. There's no problem for a board.
It takes the vote of the body of the commission to form a board. Each one of us gets nominated and a second and a vote.
Well, if it's gonna be over here and it's over my district, and I come up with 5 men or 7 people, and it's brought back them 5 or 7 names, that's what you're asking for, is it not correct?
I'm asking for at least 5 people to turn in a letter to be interested in being on a board, and the commission as a body will be who they answer to.
But where do we go from there?
They just said it.
That's why you have to form a board.
What are they doing?
Well,
You have to do the investigating then, you have to do the legwork in.
It's not our place to do the legwork. If they've got it over there in black and white, we've asked for, and I mean, that would be a step right there to know where we're at.
We typically leave board appointment, requests open for 2 weeks. 2 weeks from tonight is the next regular scheduled meeting. I would like for us to, 2 weeks from tonight, if we don't have, at least a list of people interested in being on the board from the individuals, then I say we move forward.
Well, do you think that's asking too much, Jason?
Hey,
I mean, do you think
I
it's
just
asking too much?
understood it belonged to the state, right? What are y'all doing hashing it around?
As far as, like I said, I don't know who owns the property. All I know
Well,
is
they,
the school board broke
y'all are
up.
talking about somebody, so the state owning it, y'all controlling it, and we're looking for a deed that says it goes back to the Prince people.
Mr. Porter's our county lawyer, and he's also the school board lawyer, so he can clear up.
Well, I wish, that was kind of a question.
I'll stand up so everybody can hear me. The deeds that I found in deference to Mr. Barr, the deeds, there are 3 deeds on record in the Jackson County Courthouse to the state of Alabama, the Department of Education, for the Jackson County Board of Education, for a school in this location. There are 3 deeds. I don't remember the dates. I'm sorry I didn't bring them with me. I should have, but I didn't. But I think it started in 1923, and there were several deeds. They all say, from the deeds that I found, and if somebody has a different one, please show it to me. But all those deeds specifically say that if the property is not used for a school, it does not go back to the grantor, to the people who donated the property. Those are the deeds, and I can show them to anybody who wants to see them. I just don't have them tonight. But that's what it says. It does not go back to the family.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's what I have. If there are some earlier deeds or from different deeds that were not ever recorded that I don't know about, I'd be glad to look at them. But what I have in my possession now says that it is property for the Jackson County Board of Education, actually titled in the state of Alabama. The state of Alabama doesn't want it. They will convey it to the Board of Education when some decision is made about what's going to happen to it. So, and speaking for these guys and ladies up here, their only purpose is to determine whether or not there can be an entity formed who will use the school property for the benefit of the community. And I think the commission is willing to appoint a board for that purpose. It's not, the commission won't control it, the county won't control it, it's not the county property, it belongs basically to the Board of Education. They just want to help you folks facilitate the use of the property if that's possible. So that's what I know about it. That's what I know about the deeds to the property and how this all works. I think the Board of Education is willing to work with the commission and a board that is formed to let somebody use this, and that's sort of where we are. Of course, I'm not speaking for Mr. West, and he's here, but that's sort of where we are. We just need, the commission needs something to go forward with. And a board is what they're looking for.
So it don't belong to the state anymore, he turned it over to the county.
Well, it is titled in the state of Alabama for the Jackson County Board of Education. The Jackson County does not have any interest in this, any legal interest in this property.
The Board of Education, like I said, came to us wanting us to form a board out of you people. And I had no problem with that right there. But after we form a board, what is our next step? You know, I've been trying to come up with this, and that's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. What is our next step? I mean, we're trying to go out there and find what it actually took.
Here's the point. Speaking of next steps, if a board were to form, would there be a budget for its operating expenses provided by the county?
No. And that's the thing, and that's, when they first brung it to us, that's the first thing we said is, look, the county's broke. I mean, we're just barely getting by as it is, so if a board, but they still wanted to let the community have an opportunity that if they could get out and raise the funds, grants, whatever, but like I said, we're just trying to facilitate it for y'all. I mean,
You would expect the board to pay its own expenses for things like title searches or to hire a school employee to give us the utilities or to whatever else we have to do to figure out if it's even feasible. Do we have to pay for the feasibility study ourselves if a board were to form?
We would do everything we could to help you come up with the information that you would need to come up with a business
As
model.
long as it didn't cost you anything.
Well, I mean, we may be willing to put a few dollars toward it, but as far as the day-to-day and year in and year out maintenance and upkeep of the facility, we have some buildings we want to get rid of now that we can't afford to keep up. So we couldn't take on any type of long-term relationship like that, but you know, if there was a few dollars needed for a feasibility study or something like that, I would be open to looking at that. But first, you have to have a board. You know, we can't do anything without starting with a few people that's willing to sit down and start walking this thing out and looking at it.
Hey, let me, this lady's had her hand up, and then I'll come to you, and then you.
If there is a board formed to make the decisions, to figure out what the next step would be, is there a time frame that the committee has before it's all dissolved and whatever the next option is taken?
No, I mean, we're gonna put a 2-week limit as far as the board.
Yes.
But if a board, gets created, and you know what I mean, and there's some work being done, I don't have a problem with, you know, we can try to look, you know, and help out. We're not in no hurry to try to rush the board or anything.
We've left it open for 6 months trying to get a board.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
so
that's
we're
not what I'm
gonna
asking.
just
Is it
slam
gonna-
the door.
Since the property's in the state's hands, it may come to that, their decision, you know, they may have to make a decision. That would be something, if we got a board to work for it, that we could ask. That would be one of the first questions.
Once you get on the board, are you responsible for taking care of all the, you know, to keep the upkeep?
The individual.
As soon as we form the board, then we're gonna have to start paying for everything, correct?
No.
Not to
You're
me.
gonna do a feasibility study basically first. You're gonna figure out where, like Mike's saying, where does it go from here? What does it cost to do this? What does it cost to that? That's what the board's first step is really going to be, is to see. And if it says it's gonna cost $5,000 a month to maintain this place, then you decide if it's possible for you to get $5,000 a month to maintain it. Because there's not a property in this town that gets a sales tax. There's not any form of revenue that I'm aware of. And we don't have the funds out of the general fund to contribute to that.
What happens if you don't form a committee?
Commissioner Porter, correct me, it cannot go to an individual, it has to go to a committee. There was something said that night when Mr. Dukes approached us, that they cannot hand it over, like, give it to an individual. Now, they may end up selling the property to someone, that's their business, it's not ours.
This gentleman here.
Here's what I think, just talking about appointing the board and everything, got to go out and do this legally. If they won't give Mike Sis the information out of the Board of Education, how are they gonna give it to a committee?
Well, they'll give it to the committee because the committee is voted on by the commission. We're supposed to act as a body, not as an individual.
Well, I understand that, but he's trying to get
But
that.
the body, the commission has to ask for that
An
information.
official request is made, they'll give the information.
Well, we need to ask for it then.
We don't want to get a
Yeah,
board.
well, we get a board.
There's no need, I think I speak for all these folks around here. If they're all willing right there, if we can ask for it and get the information where it's in black and white, and we come back right here, we can put a board together.
Yeah.
Is that not right?
That's right, I ain't gonna,
But
I'm not
there's-
saying nothing if I didn't know how much it's gonna cost us.
I mean, you can go out and spend
Well,
$20,000
hold on a
trying
minute.
to find a
Let me-
search.
I think there's been some confusion still. It ain't gonna cost you a penny to do this board. All we're wanting is for 5 or 6 people that wants to get together and say, I want to be a part of this board, and then you look and try to get the information together. And like I said, we'll help. I don't mind sending emails to the school board saying, hey, we're requesting the last 24 months of the electric bill, if that's what the board wants.
That's what we want, that's what I'm saying.
And then once you figure out, okay, it's gonna cost this much money, then the board can decide then, and then we might just say, you know what, it costs too much money, can't do it, or y'all say, you know what, we got it, we're gonna take care of it.
Well, that's the information y'all should have came here with tonight. The board should have sent you with that before we even had this
Well, that's
meeting.
what I'm saying, all they want us to do is create a board. We're not here to do all that. All we're here to do is create a board for this community, if that's what y'all wanna do.
Then it's the board's responsibility to go find that information. And if the board ends up getting dissolved, that's fine. If you decide it's not worth it, it's not worth the task, if it's not worth the investment for you, then we can dissolve the board and move forward, and the school can move forward, the school board can move forward however they wish. But it's your position to do the legwork. That's what the board is. It's not our place to do the legwork.
I have a question.
1 second, let this lady right here, she's got her hand up.
Me?
She's the one that's on the written list right there.
Oh, okay.
I'm Judy Prince.
Yes, ma'am.
And I was here I'm a graduate of the school, and I've been concerned about the community for at least 20 years. I've been head of a history project here. I'm very passionate about the values of the people in the valley and the fact that the people outside the valley have a hard time understanding that this is a very disadvantaged area materially, but in terms of the natural beauty of it and the human beauty, the deep inner faith that people have here, and the intelligence. The school has been the place where education could happen. And so when this closed, really in ways that just really smacked to being illegal, without people knowing the boat was going to be taken, that created a trauma. I'm a mental health professional. I have a long history of helping disadvantaged communities all over the South. And I live in Birmingham, but I also have property up here, and I live up here some. And I'm a part of the Prince family. But I'm a cousin of that person that he was talking about, okay? He's my first cousin. But what I'm trying to say to you is that the community here has been so traumatized by what happened in the closure of the school that to hear all of a sudden that you have been dumped on by the school board to try to do something that they didn't do, even though 2 years ago when they came out here and we had a hearing, I asked them, have you done any strategic planning about what could be done with this school? Oh, yes, we have. But did you involve the people? Did you involve the parents of special needs children? Because the special needs children are the ones that are going to suffer the most when the school is closed.
Like I said, I do appreciate it, though. I mean,
I'm about to summarize this, okay? I'm just saying that the trauma that's happened takes a while for people to deal with.
Yeah.
And we're out here tonight dealing with it again. And I'm here to say that it's not over yet in terms of the school. There are still people looking at what can be done about the special needs children. I just want you to know that.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not over. That's number one. Number two, the history project itself has gotten all kind of accolades for what it's done for people. And so I have reached out to universities in different parts of the state. People have helped us. All the special collections at Samford University, where we brought students up here and they worked with us. Y'all don't know this stuff. And you're being put in a position that I feel sorry for you, really, that you're being dumped on by something that the school board didn't do to start with. Okay? Now that's one thing. But the other is to call this a history board. I get your agenda every week, every month. I know what's going on. I keep an eye on this, even though I'm blind. I have a lot of aids, thank God, that I've been able to go a long way because people see how much I've done in the world to help people like this. And I'm telling you, I'm out here tonight to say, you know, there's a lot of blindness that's going on. People don't even realize that there were half of the children here were on free lunches. The economic... This is a marginalized, disadvantaged area that's now being asked to come up with money to fund this. This doesn't make any sense. On the way here from Birmingham today, I heard that Huntsville, Madison County, Gurley's going to get a new recreation center. And another, I think it was Owens Crossroads, they're going to demolish theirs and build them a new one. Madison County's got money.
Oh, I know.
Why not think about this as a place for Madison County to come in and help out?
Well, like I said,
but there's a lot
I'm
of
good
things
with that
the strategic planning that can be done if there is a consultant hired, and it's going to take money to hire a consultant to come in and work with the school board. It's their problem.
Yeah.
It's not your problem, sir.
And, well, like I said, and I appreciate everything that you said and everything you've done. But like I said, we've just been tasked with this, and we gotta either,
We only have one path. And
Yeah.
But who came
any
up
of
with
these
the
other
idea of calling it a
issues-
history board? Is what I want to know, because I've had a history project for 20 years.
Well, we didn't want to call it the park board because that's a whole lot of confusion. There used to be a park board
And nobody would be on it because there was no money.
Well, but anyway, it
well,
can be
I
called
mean,
whatever.
they
I
can
don't
name
care what
it.
it's called. but we-
I just had to name it something, and
Are
I
you
knew
the
that.
person that named it the historical board?
To be honest with you, I can't remember, but I just remember we
I told them
had
there
to,
was already a historical
we had to
society
call
when
it-
it came up with that name. I said, there's already that, there's gonna be conflict.
Well,
Did you hear what he said?
I do, but like I said, we just had to call it something. The board, we was thinking the board could get established, and then they could call it whatever they want to call it.
Well, I'm here to say, you're gonna get in trouble with me if you start calling it something that's got a tradition and working with educational institutions all over
Well, the-
Alabama. We're gonna have something to say about that.
Well,
Special studies at Sanford University holds all of this information about this whole valley and where it sits in the middle and what it has to contribute in terms of the riches.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
talking
like,
about
you
internal
can-
riches, not material riches.
Yeah.
But
You can-
natural
you can- I mean, y'all can make a board name. I mean, it don't matter to us. Like I said, all we're here for is to try to help. If y'all want to create a board, you create one, but if you, and then you can name it whatever you want to name it.
I don't want to
wanna
vote, okay,
afford
I vote
everybody-
again, if I have a vote, it's to be against the board.
Okay.
Because there's stuff going on that has to do with the educational piece too. And the education, board has dumped this on you guys. And I, for one, will be supportive of you in getting rid of it. But I'm not supportive of a board to dump it on this community that I know is a disadvantaged community that's not going to be able to come up with money.
Okay.
I know what happens when we have sing-ins here. I know how the money comes in. This is not going to happen.
We need to give everybody an opportunity to speak that wants to speak.
I have something I want to give to y'all tonight to see what people think in Birmingham. This is in the Birmingham News about the way this Jackson County is doing things.
Okay.
And I want to give y'all these. Okay?
Ma'am in purple.
My question is, if we make a board, is the Board of Education going to talk to us civil because they haven't in the past?
They will.
And you understand what I'm saying? They closed the school, never come and said anything to us. So if we form a board, are we gonna have trouble getting what we need out of it to see where we can go from here?
I don't think so at all. And like I said, we will be here to help you. That's what we're here, because we want to help you. We want to see, you can see, if y'all can do it, I'm 100% for you. So, and that's what I'm saying, I'm at the courthouse every day. So if you need something, all you can do is call me and I'll be glad to help you. I don't care to go to a meeting. I want to help.
And
And
so
this
it
whole
will be on the
commission,
lease, did you say?
excuse me,
It will be on the lease? Is that what you said? Or they're going to sell it to us for $1?
I'm under the understanding the school board will maintain ownership of the property. Is that not right, Mr. Porter?
For how many years?
I mean, they always are. They can't get rid of
But
it.
they're gonna lease it to us for $1 a year, $1 for 99 years, because I think that came out of the amount.
I don't even think that we've even discussed,
Well, now, somebody, when we started the meeting, said something about it would be given to us for $1. Who said
Somebody
that?
made some comment.
I did.
But it's my understanding
I did.
that the school board will keep the property. They will own the property.
So they can come in anytime they want to and do whatever they want to.
but like I said, I don't think it's,
That's not,
their board will be the one that's authority over this.
yeah.
They would just be the landowners who's basically give y'all the right to do what y'all want to do with it.
I would have to have that right.
So are they
I am right about
landowners?
that.
Is the board the landowner?
The board would have to, the
No.
local board would have to deal with the Jackson County
Okay.
School.
Board of Education.
But we can get all that right.
Well, this
I
board,
mean, I'm just being serious. I mean, you get burned.
Well, I see your point too, because who's to say in 100 years that Huntsville doesn't expand on up in here and this become a community of 5,000 houses and need a school of its own? I mean, I see your point.
That's right.
You don't know what tomorrow has in store.
We don't want to see the school go away. I don't want to see it turned into something that it's not.
Well, there are people around looking for places to do things for people who have disabilities. I'm one of them.
And that's something that you might do is lease out to, a third party, a part of the building and keep the gym for the community or whatever. And that's what the board is supposed to be put together for, to come up with a business model and a plan and present that to the commission. And then we present it to the school board and the school board, then we'll move forward or whatever. That's what this is all about.
So that's
the only control we have over any of it.
There needs to be strategic planning. I'm on the governor's board, the advisory board for the governor on people with disabilities. And the governor has been interested in this. She's very interested in education.
I would sign up then, Ms. Bishop.
So your understanding is that subleasing would be an option?
Yeah.
And that's why we brought it to the community, to a board of community members, for you to choose what to do with it.
Are you guys aware of grants? You mentioned the number.
We're not aware of any particular ones, but
We would help the board look for
Could you be able to turn it into like a community center where it would be a non-profit and that would enable you to get grants and such like that? Absolutely. Also.
Like senior citizens place?
anything nonprofit.
The only thing about seniors, unless you're talking about a Jackson County senior citizens, and you talking about going through our program that we have.
That could be a sublease.
Yeah, that could be an option. We just have to look at, because we have to go through TARCOG and other stuff like that. But yeah, that you can turn in about what you want it to. I mean, as long as it's being kept up. I think that's the only thing the school's looking at, is that it's being kept up.
The simple thing is, need a board to figure out what it costs a month. Keep it open.
And what you want to do with it.
That's just a simple thing right there. First thing to start.
Yeah.
Joey started,
You gotta start somewhere.
Joey, you mentioned the board a while ago.
Huh?
You mentioned the board a while ago, was formed 2 weeks ago, you said?
That's a few weeks ago was the first time I heard anything about it, except on seeing it on Facebook. You can't believe half the stuff on Facebook. So.
We haven't heard anything about no meetings, no nothing.
Right.
I mean, I heard this meeting on TV.
Well, I apologize. Like I said, we run it in the paper, and I think we talked about it in a couple of meetings.
Every Monday night except the fifth Monday night, you go on YouTube and watch our commission meeting. If you can't get the courthouse to see a commission meeting, and there's been some talk about something in your community, you can go on YouTube and watch the commission meeting.
This is how we advertise. We make posters and put them on the side of the road. Hey, it works.
It works.
The money that was in before the school shut, where did it go?
The money.
The money that was, that our
School board.
the board's got.
Not us.
Like if they took that money that they got, that we went and had fundraisers and stuff, they took, why can't they put it back in?
That's definitely a question that, would need to
That's
be
what
asked.
we need to be asking.
Right.
Then.
But you can't have 100 people asking these questions, or one person gathering this or that. You've got to have,
A central group.
a group.
That's what the committee is.
Well, I want to apologize to my commissioner friends right here, because I knew what was going to kind of take place. Before that gymnasium over there was packed, standing outside down the halls, it was unreal. And that was the time they said it never will be brought up again as long as I'm in that position. And I know, Paint Rock Valley, I sat here and watched this one right here, walk these halls, teach school, tears coming down our eyes right now. Paint Rock Valley is a lot like New York when they flew in the towers. We don't forget. And that's why I got a little upset, I guess. We don't forget. And we put in a position where I want a board formed, but I can't come up with any information. So basically what it amounts to is I gave you an opportunity. So I want you to understand where I'm at. I'll go along from a board, but we don't have the funding to go out and do research to find all the ins and outs of what takes place. And it will, like Reese said, it will take a lot of money when you get involved down out there. But tonight, we just come to form that board.
That's a simple thing. Form a board, see what it costs a month, keep it open, and that'll tell you about them, so you can do it.
And what you decide to do with it's gonna depend upon your cost. I mean, if you
Yeah,
plan on
that-
leaving the lights and the
If
heat
you
on
can't afford it to
24/7,
start with, you're not gonna afford it in the long run.
right.
If letters,
Go ahead.
But Mike, if you're on this board and the Board of Education won't give you the simple information that you've done ask for, you know, how are we gonna get it? I realize you guys are all on the board, but he's one of your board members. If they won't give it to him,
We'll have our lawyer talk to their lawyer.
Our lawyer, I'll go in on that. Our lawyer, Mr. Porter, did bring me something that I asked for over there at a Board of Education meeting. He did bring me a whole envelope full. But when you open it up, this is just a portion. It's got wrote down, this is just a portion of Paint Rock Valley. Well, when you go through 16 schools, what portion does that pertain to? This is portion of propane, this is a portion right there of electric bill. But like I said, I did get a hold of Mr. Middleton, and I called up there, and he did get me some paperwork sent from the North Alabama Electric, and I called back and talked with Debbie, was the lady's name. I said, I can't really make nothing out of that. It's so black. She said, I was afraid of that. She said, if you'll come up here, since your name has already been brought up, I will give you a printout. She said, it just would not come out plain. You know, so that's all I've got to go on. And I couldn't tell really what the figures were.
two things. If you hit those figures, what it costs to run it is not going to be accurate. You're not going to have kids there every day. You're not going to be heating and cooling it every day. That's going to cut the cost tremendously. It can be sustained by the community by renting the facilities to do different things to different organizations to raise money. It can also make money by having just different things, like some of the things she said through the community, then it'll support itself. But that's not going to be close. Those figures, if you find out what it costs to run the school, are not going to nearly be accurate. It's not going to cost that nowhere near to keep it heated and cooled, so that's not going to matter. You're going to have a roundabout figure of what it's going to cost to sit here idle. What the insurance is going to cost when you do have functions, if somebody were to get hurt and sue, and then you've got to have insurance to cover it. That's going to be your biggest cost.
So they should.
It's that insurance. And the other thing is, my other question, if letters are supposed to be submitted and y'all vote on who's on the board, obviously, the people that are still interested are here.
Right.
Most of the people in this community, doesn't matter to them. It's gone. It's gone to them, and they've graduated from here, and they're still members of the community, but their heart's not in it anymore. They felt wrong, just like most of us here, so they're not here. Does it matter to them? Sure it does. Are they hurt? Yes, they are. With that being said, if the people that's interested here, instead of submitting letters, why can't we appoint 5 people tonight and y'all say, hey, that's what we'll do, we won't. Why are we going to go through this process and prolong it anymore? The people that are interested are sitting right here. So now can we appoint a board? If y'all the ones going to vote on it and make the final decision who's going to be on it, I see no reason why we can't appoint a board right now.
I'd be glad to take anybody's name. We can write out a letter. Anybody can sign a letter that they're interested in being on the board. But, you know, if we get 10 people, we've got to pick 5. So it's going to take, or 8, or however many we're going to put on the board. I thought it was 5.
But the community's going to run it, let the community vote on it. The community's sitting right here. We can vote 5 people in right quick, or 7. And it needs to be 5 people that's been in this community and jam up people.
It needs to be 5 people that will really put some energy into it and think outside the box on revenue. And, I mean, we'll do it however, but our typical way of appointing board members, we do it for the hospital board, the EDA, water board, you know, a lot of different boards, is submit a letter, you know, just showing your interest in being on the board. That's why we put it out like that. That's the way we typically do it. So, sometimes you get more than, you'll have one position, you get 3 people, you know, and you gotta pick one.
I have a question. Being that the board,
I don't have control of the floor.
okay, whoever does, listen.
sorry.
All right, so being the board owns the property, is always gonna own the property, would their liability not extend to the property?
Possible.
That would be a question for them.
Tell the liability insurance?
Yes.
He said no.
No.
Mr. Jim did, I asked him, I said, you don't want to ask about keeping the gymnasium and the ball field? I said, will you just keep the liability through the Board of Education? He said, absolutely not. He said, whoever it comes on, it's going to belong to them.
But it'll still fall back on them as landowners.
So, I mean, that could be a question to be brought up again.
Well, the man sitting right there, he probably knows the answer.
Well, there's different insurance for being an unoccupied facility and one that's used. I mean, that I can tell you, that's the difference in what it would cost to use it as an occupied and ongoing facility for whatever you're going to do with it. And in regard to appointing a board tonight, that would be against board policy, commission policy, because it has to go to a work session first. Everything they do has to be talked about in a work session first and then voted on at the next meeting. So,
That's the reason we put a 2-week time, because 2 weeks today is another voting meeting.
Yep.
So if we got the letters by the next work session, next Monday, then we can put them in for the next meeting, and then we can have this done in 2 weeks.
and I'll volunteer my pad if anybody wants to submit a letter of request tonight.
Oh, Mr. Rich,
Mr. Barham, I'd like to add on something to what you're talking about. Since the school's been closed down in, what was it, May of last year? Yeah. You should be able to go back and look at what the utilities cost, the electric bill from then until now. I mean,
That's gonna be more accurate.
that would be more accurate than you.
And then it's
say.
gonna
Depending on how much activity you have.
Right.
What you do here.
The whole building, you know, and how many buildings are getting used.
What'll happen if we don't do anything? What's gonna happen to this?
We will back away from it. It'll go back
let's go back to
to
the school board, and the school board will decide then what they gonna do with it.
I would like to recommend that you consider that.
To be honest with you, I don't have an answer, because this is all we got tasked with. But if you get it too big, it gets to where you got people fighting. You needed to get to a number that you can, the people will be at the meeting, you know, and then when you do have to go talk to people, I mean, it's harder, it's hard enough to get 5 and 7 together, but you get 20, it's real hard to get them together.